everyone, my name's Eric Hopkins, aka Joe. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So we got 5 hours of AEW wrestling to get into today. So let's get right into it without any further ado here. Good shows, I thought, this weekend, as well as on Dynamite last night. That vastly improved over the last few weeks. I think the storytelling has definitely ramped up. We'll get into that as we get through it here. First thing on the show, Claudio Castagnoli and Bryan Danielson started out the show. Obviously, they were getting ready to take on Top Flight. The action was surprisingly even for a long time, with Top Flight possibly even having more time and control. Dante and Darius Martin have really come into their own as performers over the last 6 months. They look much more confident in the ring and have toned down the high flying stuff just enough to make each move have a bit more impact while still making it their primary form of offense. Pretty good match, all things considered here. A little bit predictable, but at the same time, even though AEW can't surprise us sometimes, nobody came into this expecting Top Flight to win, unfortunately. The BCC get the victory here. After a fun match to kick off the show on Collision, Danielson grabbed a mic and put over Dante and Darius as being what AEW is all about. He also went on to talk about how much he loved AEW. He really did a great job of firing up the crowd, giving this great rah-rah speech for the company. It was just a great thing to see. I mean, we've seen a few wrestlers do this over the years with many different companies and everything, but to have someone like Bryan Danielson who really enjoys what he does and have the company that he loves and where he works, that's awesome. I know he even did an interview not too long ago talking about how he much prefers, actually, instead of wrestling in front of big crowds like at WrestleManias or something, he actually prefers to wrestle in smaller buildings with smaller crowds because he can just feed off that energy even further. And he just prefers it. Kind of like, I think he said something like his wife likes to go to like big concerts and stuff, but he likes small, intimate gatherings and things like that. So it's just kind of the way Bryan Danielson is as a person. So I love to see him like putting over AEW and the fact that he loves the company. And the AEW exists to give people like him an opportunity. Now, granted, Bryan Danielson be getting opportunities in other companies, no doubt about it. But it's a great place for veterans can go to finish off their careers, as well as build the younger talent and things like that, and have great wrestling matches. That's what AEW is for. It's a great alternative. But although I thought watching this week's AEW, it felt a little bit more like AEW was kind of taking a page out of WWE's book a little bit and focusing on storytelling, while WWE and the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournaments were focusing more on the professional wrestling side of it, not so much on the storytelling. So it felt like a little bit like Bizarro World this week. I'm not going to lie to you. But Bryan Danielson said that he would do anything to protect AEW. But the interesting thing about this was we got Claudio Castagnoli, who was in the ring with Danielson as he's cutting this promo, and Claudio decided to take a leave of absence here. He decides to leave the ring midway through his promo and decides to head up the ramp. Was kind of curious as the cameras did kind of focus on it as he left the ring. So it was almost like Bryan Danielson didn't even know he left. Danielson never really acknowledged it or anything, but we got a little bit of a answer as to why Claudio left on AEW Rampage. So we'll get into that here in just a little bit. We had a pretty underrated match, in my opinion, with Will Ospreay versus Lee Moriarty. Lee Moriarty is very underrated, in my opinion. He's got a lot of great talent, and Will Ospreay obviously is outstanding. So anytime Will Ospreay can get a match with any young talent, I think it's going to enhance the younger talent, no doubt about it. But obviously at the very end here, Will Ospreay gets the victory. But a lot of this was due to we had Roderick Strong, and we had the Undisputed Kingdom on the outside on commentary watching Will Ospreay during this match. Shane Taylor took a few opportunities to interfere during this match as well, but despite all the shenanigans, Will Ospreay and Moriarty put on a hell of a performance here that had the crowd on his feet toward the very end. The former IWGP champion hit a Stormbreaker for the win. He looked like he was teasing the Tiger Driver 91 that he is officially retired after he feared to injure Bryan Danielson with it, even though apparently it seems like Bryan Danielson is fine. He obviously got over the injury and storyline and all that, and now he's moving on. But the Will Ospreay still wants to be he is the baby face, so to speak, and so he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He just wants to compete. And so I like the story they're telling there. So he was teasing he was going to drop that, but he ended up dropping a Stormbreaker instead, which is another awesome move, by the way. So yeah, he's got a wide range of weapons in his repertoire that he can use. Will Ospreay is absolutely outstanding. If you've not got a chance to check out Will Ospreay in the ring yet, I highly recommend you do. He's probably top 5 wrestler in the world, if not the best wrestler in the world today, in my opinion, in 2024. So definitely check it out. After the match was over, Shane Taylor tried to attack Will Ospreay from behind. He laid him out with a big KO punch, and of course that left him to the wolves of Undisputed Kingdom. So yeah, they definitely leave Ospreay laying here. But again, furthering the story between Roderick Strong and Will Ospreay, obviously leading into their match for the International Championship at Double or Nothing. So, like what they're doing there, and we're also going to get a follow-up match to this on Collision this next coming week on Saturday. It'll be Will Ospreay versus Shane Taylor, kind of just feeding off of what happened here. So, again, good storytelling all the way around, and we get a little bit more storytelling with Will Ospreay and Roderick Strong on Dynamite this week. So, we'll get into that as well. So we had Brian Cage, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona, the Gates of Agony, in trios action this week against local talents. They pretty well destroyed them pretty quickly. But the main story of this match was what happened afterwards, was where Swerve Strickland showed up and took some retribution on his former teammates for turning on him as he was trying to face off against Christian Cage last week on Dynamite. So yeah, this was great. They finally found their niche with Swerve Strickland, in my opinion. Swerve Strickland was trying to do this thing, and he even mentioned it in a promo on Collision as well. He was trying to be a good champion when he won the title, but he got away from what got him to the championship in the first place. I love that aspect because Swerve Strickland is best when he's got that edge. He's got that killer instinct, and he's finally found it, even as a babyface now. So, and he's obviously took out Gates of Agony, and he didn't quite get Brian Cage, but he gets a match with him on Dynamite this week. So, yeah, this was absolutely outstanding. I love what they're doing with Swerve now. If they continue this with Swerve and him having that edge and that killer instinct, especially even going into his match with Christian Cage at Double or Nothing, it's going to be a good thing for him, and it's going to do wonders for his championship reign, which was a little bit lacking after he won the title. A lot of people were criticizing a little bit what they were doing with him and stuff. It just didn't feel like Swerve Strickland, but now it feels like Swerve Strickland. He feels like the character is back, and it's where it should be and where it belongs. So I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes against Christian Cage at Double or Nothing, and we'll get another segment again, like I said, on Dynamite this week. Daniel Garcia had a match as well versus a kind of a jobber, I think, but he's a big man in my opinion. His name, all we know about him is his name was KM. Yeah, just very big guy, but it looked like Daniel Garcia picked up the win pretty quickly here in a too short to be memorable match for sure. No better than 2 minutes. Would have liked to seen Daniel Garcia be on the show a little bit longer, but at the same time, just a way to kind of highlight Daniel Garcia. Tony Khan and AEW clearly like him a lot, and I would still like to maybe see him get himself a title at some point here at some point. So yeah, I would love to see that, and I think they got nothing but bright things ahead for Daniel Garcia. The original Dynamite Kid's nephew made his AEW this week when Tommy Billington took on Dax Harwood in singles competition. The newcomer gave up a lot of size and experience to Dax Harwood, but he made the match competitive by using his quickness and technical ability. Actually, this was really good, mixing more of an old school style with modern offense. Billington came into this as an unknown to most fans, so seeing him get so much time in the ring is a good sign that AEW may be interested in signing him. Obviously, he come out to like the old British Bulldog theme song. Obviously, the Dynamite Kid and the British Bulldog were a tag team back in the day, the British Bulldogs. So yeah, obviously a lot of times when you see like these second, third generation superstars, sometimes they'll use the gimmick of their parents or their uncles or whoever it might be to kind of get their name in the business and kind of cut their teeth a little bit. But I thought this kid did a great job against Dax. It was a very fun match in my opinion. FTR looked impressed and showed Billington some respect after the match as well. So great to see all the way around. This is a very fun match. If you didn't get a chance to check this out and check out the young kid Tommy Billington, I highly recommend you go watch this match on Collision. Dax Harwood got the win with a slingshot powerbomb. So again, and then of course they're setting up Dax Harwood for a match with Kazuchika Okada on Dynamite this week, as well as the Anarchy in the Arena match. So again, just good to see Dax Harwood get some singles wins as well. Seems like Cash Wheeler is not so much the singles competitor as much as Dax Harwood is. Harwood seems to have more of a knack for it. But yeah, it's just good to see Dax Harwood getting some of these young guys over, which is what he wants to do in his career, clearly from the matches he's been wrestling as of late. And looking forward to seeing him do some more stuff. Hopefully, I know they're probably closer to retirement than not FTR for sure. But love Dax Harwood. Love to see him in the ring. And just hope he's taking care of himself because he's taking some crazy bumps as of late, no doubt about it. We got a women's match between Thunder Rosa and Robin Renegade. It was nice to see Robin get some television time and an entrance for once, for sure, without just getting a jobber entrance. But it didn't make this match any less predictable. We all came into this knowing that Thunder Rosa was going to get the win here, no doubt about it. The former women's champion got a submission win with a modified Cobra clutch. She talked some trash into the camera to Deonna Purrazzo before heading to the back, kind of setting up kind of some stuff they were doing on Rampage as well. So definitely the rivalry between these two young women are definitely not over. And I don't know if we're going to get another matchup between her and Deonna at Double or Nothing or not, but they'll definitely be probably paying off this feud at some point. My guess is probably a Collision or maybe the kickoff show for Double or Nothing. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I think at some point this feud needs to end at some point too, and move on to bigger and brighter pastures for both of these young ladies. AEW Collision main evented with the TNT Championship match with Adam Copeland versus Kyle O'Reilly. The crowd was pumped up and on its feet before this match even began, so expectations for a good match were high right out of the gate here. They did a really great job of increasing the pace and severity of their offense as time went on to build anticipation for the finish of this match. They had almost 20 minutes, so they had plenty of time to pace themselves and do all their big spots. This was an outstanding performance that served as a reminder that both of these guys are incredibly talented wrestlers in their own unique ways, as Kyle O'Reilly is a technical mastermind and Adam Copeland is a showman of the highest degree who can hold his own anytime. They meshed together well and put on a banger of a match, in my opinion. They had a hard-fought match, but Adam Copeland retains his TNT Championship here. He helped Kyle O'Reilly up and hugged him as the crowd gave them a standing ovation after the match was over. So yes, this was interesting. The thing that really made this interesting, though, at the very end, though, outside of the match just being outstanding in itself, was as they Copeland held O'Reilly's hand up, and then he refused to let go of his hand as O'Reilly tried to leave. And of course, that led to Adam Copeland kind of looking down at his hand, like, "Why didn't you let him go?" And I love this bug-eyed look that Adam Copeland gave his hand, like, what's happening right now? Because again, after Malachi Black sprayed Adam Copeland in the face with the black mist, Adam Copeland has been getting these moments of just like rage and not understanding what's happening. So the black mist is definitely having an effect on Adam Copeland, which is what the mist has been known to do in storylines before. So again, and this all is going to play into what happens on Dynamite this week, as well as into what happens with Malachi Black at Double or Nothing. So I love what they're doing here with Adam Copeland, giving him a bit more of an edge, kind of getting back to his old roots. I think he's possibly going to be maybe leading into a bit of the old brood Adam Copeland or Edge from WWE. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing this match. I think it's going to be outstanding at Double or Nothing, and we got a little bit of news on what that match is possibly going to be here on Rampage. So as Rampage kicked off, obviously, we got a quick little interview with Claudio Castagnoli, and he was flat out asked why he left Bryan Danielson, and Castagnoli basically just said that he wants Bryan Danielson to retire healthy and wants nothing to do with Anarchy in the arena because he loves his friend and he wants his friend to have the best last year of his career. Obviously, Danielson has gotten injured in these type of matches before. He's had a lot of injuries as of late, especially when he wrestled Okada. So yeah, I mean, this is a Castagnoli just caring for his friend here. And he also doesn't love Eddie Kingston. There's no love lost there. So obviously at this point, it was assumed that Eddie Kingston was still going to be able to wrestle in the Anarchy in the arena match. That's obviously changed, as we'll get into here in just a little bit. But yeah, Claudio's just doing what he feels is right. And I don't know if this is going to play into much anymore since Eddie Kingston now has to be removed from that match. But at the same time, this is just Claudio, caring for his friend. And I understand where he's coming from in that regard. But at the same time, I don't know exactly where they're going to go with this, or if they're even going to continue this now with that whole development with Kingston. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But interesting for sure. And I wonder if it's going to kind of maybe drive a little wedge in the BCC. Obviously, Wheeler Yuta has been out for a while now with concussion symptoms. We pray for Wheeler Yuta. Hopefully, he'll be able to come back soon. But his health is what comes first. And of course, Moxley's kind of doing his own thing with the IWGP Championship. So there don't seem to be a whole lot of dissension, in my opinion. But this little move with Claudio here, walking away from Danielson, is definitely intriguing to me, and I want to see what they do with it. AEW Rampage this week opened up with Trent Beretta versus Dalton Castle. Dalton Castle, who's got most of his career as of late on Ring of Honor television. It's just great to see him in AEW. I know the boys have got let go by the company, but he's got some local talent to do the boys gimmick with him as well to do, so he can come out and do his peacock entrance and things like that. The more Dalton Castle, the better for me on television. I'm actually starting to really enjoy the character. It's quirky, it's crazy, it's fun, but at the same time, it's just fun to watch. So, but yeah, him and Trent Beretta had a pretty good match in my opinion. Trent Beretta gets the win here, but for sure, I mean, it's just furthering the storyline again of Trent Beretta, kind of furthering his heel storyline here. The one complaint I have here is that Trent Beretta didn't do enough in this bout to show his new heel personality. He barely skirted the rules and he worked a relatively standard match, but he was definitely a little bit more vicious than usual, but that was about it. But Beretta won by referee stoppage when he choked Dalton Castle out. But again, just furthering this here, I'm sure we could still get some stuff with Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta going down the line here. We'll just have to wait and see what they do with it. But at the same time, good to see they're actually doing something with Trent as a full-blown heel. I'm looking forward to see where they're taking it. We got Taya Valkyrie and Johnny TV on AEW Rampage. I think Johnny, again, a couple talents who've been on Ring of Honor television as of late, and they've been doing some good work over there, especially with the feud with Dalton Castle, the aforementioned Dalton Castle for sure. They had a good feud over there in Ring of Honor, so go check that out. But Taya Valkyrie too, crazy yellow hair this week for sure. Loving it. But I think I want to say she's even lost some weight, so good for her. They're doing a great job with these two talents here. Obviously, always been underutilized. Johnny TV has been. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if they're going to do much with him. I thought he had a pretty good match to main event AEW Rampage this week against the Bastard Pack. So, good spot for him there. I thought they had a good match, and he's definitely a workhorse, and he's a very underrated talent in my opinion. We had a backstage segment with Adam Copeland, who basically challenged Malachi Black, as obviously, he's sick and tired of the House of Black. He challenged Malachi to a barbed wire steel cage match at Double or Nothing. Say what you want about AEW Weekly Television, but this announcement right here, which is a challenge that was going to be answered on Dynamite, which we'll get into in a little bit, but say what you want about the company and their weekly television, but their pay-per-views absolutely kill it. They are the king of pay-per-views right now. WWE's been putting on some very good pay-per-views as well, but there's been a few times it's been a little lackluster here and there. But AEW, this is one of those matches that's just going to be an absolute show stealer. So I can't wait to see what Copeland and Malachi Black do in this particular R-rated violence. So I can't believe it's going to happen. I can't wait to watch this on Memorial Day Sunday for sure. Should be a lot of fun. I kind of could maybe see Malachi Black winning the TNT championships here. We'll just have to wait and see if they actually pull the trigger on it. But I love what Adam Copeland's doing, or as he likes to be referred to as Cope. I guess he's wanting to kind of shorten his name a little bit. He feels like the rated R superstar Adam Copeland is a little too wordy, a little too lengthy. So the Cope Open, I think he's trying. He even mentioned Cope versus Malachi in this promo. So I can see where he's coming from after being called Edge all those years. So I can see that. But yeah, looking forward to this. We had a showcase match for Brian Keith as he was in action against JD Drake. Got a little bit of flack online because there was a spot where JD Drake was going for a hanging suplex or a vertical delay suplex, as it were. And I guess JD Drake basically dropped Brian Keith, but it wasn't a big botch or anything like that. But Keith hit a modified stunner to get a quick win here. It was just nice to see both these guys get a little screen time, even if it was just for a random match. Deonna Purrazzo versus Lady Frost here. Once again, this was a match that was kind of predictable in the outcome, but it was made better by exactly how hard both of these women worked to make it feel more competitive. There were moves in this match that Lady Frost were doing that were so acrobatic that it was actually really fun to watch. But yeah, these two ladies go back to the TNA days when they were both over there at Impact. So yeah, these ladies clearly had chemistry together. They clearly worked together before, and it showed on the screen. But the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo got the win, but had to run for her life when Thunder Rosa come out with a chair trying to attack her. So again, like I said, this is all going to culminate at some point here. Not sure exactly when, but it's definitely coming. We got a music video from the Acclaimed. I got to tell you, ever since they've lost the trios championships here, and even before that, I'm starting to lose a little bit of my excitement when the Acclaimed comes out. I don't know what it is. It's just it's starting to kind of. Maybe it's because they're not been on television a whole lot as of late since losing the trios championships. But for me personally, I'm just not feeling it right now with the Acclaim. The music videos sometimes, in my opinion, are not that great. I know they're really well loved among the fan base, and I'm not saying I hate them or anything like that. I just, for whatever reason, I just feel like they're in a little bit of a slump, and hopefully they can get some of that magic back. The main event of AEW Rampage, of course, saw Pac versus Johnny TV. Uh, with Valkyrie on the outside. In fact, Valkyrie trying to interject herself into the action backfired and led to her and Johnny TV colliding on the apron. Pac immediately locked in his signature submission to get the win here. So yeah, I mean, Pac obviously getting a big win here. They're kind of playing it up like Pac is kind of feeling a little bit, depressed or whatever after losing to Okada. I don't know what it is, but like last week when the Gun Club come up and kind of intimidated Pac a little bit. It was like the first time I ever saw Pac not have like washboard abs. It was almost like he decided not to work out for a week or something like that. It was really strange, but at the same time, he's still in great, phenomenal shape, no doubt about it. But the Bang Bang Gang also showed up on the Titantron, so to speak, and the Bullet Club Gold, obviously, was just kind of rubbing it into Pac about how, great job, good, you got a great win, awesome. And I guess one of the Guns called him Pac-Man, did like Pac-Man noises and things like that. So highly entertaining stuff from the Bullet Club Gold and the Bang Bang Gang here. But again, it seems like at Double or Nothing, we're definitely going to be getting Pac versus Jay White at least. So in that regard, it could be great. Or we could be getting Death Triangle versus the Bang Bang Gang. That is assuming that Ray Phoenix is back to being healthy. We'll have to wait and see. I heard he might have re-injured himself again. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. But either way, this could be a lot of fun, and I think these two teams, or just Pac and Jay White one-on-one, could be absolutely outstanding. So that could be a match that could definitely be a show stealer at the next pay-per-view. That brings us to AEW Dynamite for this week on May 15th, 2024. As you can see at the bottom of this graphic here as well, they're already promoting Will Ospreay versus Shane Taylor on AEW Collision this Saturday. It feels like they're kind of trying to help Collision out a little bit by putting Will Ospreay over there a little bit. I think that could probably help maybe boost the ratings a little bit. Not again. AEW is not any major trouble or anything like that. Not to mention the fact that apparently the NBA has now been moved over to the NBC, so TNT and TBS will be losing the rights to the NBA. So in that regard, it's really going to help AEW out, because Warner Brothers Discovery is probably going to pay AEW even more now because of that, because they need quality programming, and AEW has been one of the better things that they've got on their channels and on their network. So in that regard, it's going to be a good thing for AEW, I think, in the long run. But we'll have to wait and see how those TV rights deals and things go down once TK and AEW makes those deals finalized. But and hopefully that means we'll get some pay-per-views on Max as well, which I believe Max has already said that they're interested in. So we would love to see that for sure. But yeah, Dynamite looks like it'd be a good show on paper, all things considered. We started out the show once again with the BCC with Bryan Danielson coming down. Moxley made his way out to the ring first, and he got jumped by Jeff Cobb and Kyle Fletcher. This tag team match here that was supposed to be between them and the BCC here, and then of course brought out the hometown or home state boy of Bryan Danielson here in Washington State, here in Everett, Washington, and of course he was wearing his Seattle Seahawks colors. He come down here, and then of course the match ended up into a big brawl with Bryan Danielson's music still playing as the show kicked off here. A lot of fun, a lot of chaotic stuff to kind of get the show rolling here, no doubt about it. This may have started with absolute chaos, but it ended up being a well-paced match that allowed them to sell without feeling rushed. The crowd was absolutely popping for everything that Bryan Danielson did, but it was Mox who scored the pinfall here for his team on Kyle Fletcher. It would have made a lot more sense for Jeff Cobb to eat the pin instead, because Kyle Fletcher is actually a Ring of Honor champion, but the outcome would be the same either way, I suppose. Konosuke Takeshita showed up for a post-match attack, but Claudio Castagnoli made the save with a huge tire iron from the looks of things. Even they were trying to figure out what it was called on commentary. I couldn't quite tell you what it was exactly either. But yeah, so I mean, it looked like Moxley got the worst for wear of that at the end of the attack, because obviously Konosuke Takeshita is clearly eyeing the IWGP World Championship over there from New Japan. So, yeah, clearly we're going to get this match, I think, at Double or Nothing as well. They haven't made it official just yet, but Mox versus Takeshita is definitely going to happen. And, of course, they've got all that long history between Takeshita and Don Callis and things like that. So this could get very interesting. So, again, kind of playing off all those old storylines as well and building upon them as well. So I think the storytelling this week has been much improved, and we're going to get into a few segments here in just a second with the storytelling getting better as well. After this, we got Adam Copeland attempting to come down to the ring to go face-to-face with Malachi Black to see whether or not he would accept his challenge for a barbed wire steel cage match at Double or Nothing. That is when, of course, he was jumped from behind by the rest of the members of the House of Black, Buddy Matthews and Brody King. They pretty well threw him down to the ring area, and Malachi Black kind of sauntered down to the ring behind them. And that is, of course, that is when Brody King started to choke Adam Copeland, and, of course, Malachi Black demanded that Buddy Matthews grab Adam Copeland's wedding ring and give it to him. So he removed Adam Copeland's wedding ring from his finger. And of course, Kyle O'Reilly tried to come down and make the save when all this was going on as well. Buddy Matthews was completely successful by removing this wedding ring and giving it to Malachi Black. And Malachi Black even used it in a promo later, talking about how this one little trinket, this little ring right here, is what's been holding you back for the last few years. Ever since you've been really an outstanding wrestler. When you were the rated R superstar, and you weren't afraid to go to that extra mile. But this right here has been keeping you playing it safe and things like that. So I love the little storyline that they're adding to that right there. So again, it's going to send Adam Copeland over the edge even further in this match. And again, you're getting a rated R unhinged superstar against Malachi Black, who has got dastardly deeds written all over him. So this is going to be a match I think could very well steal the show at Double or Nothing, depending on how they play it out. But I love the storytelling they're doing here with and of course they added a stipulation to this that Malachi Black states that if Adam loses this match, Adam Copeland must then bend the knee to the House of Black. Does that mean he would be joining the House of Black? That could very well happen. So Malachi Black would take his title as well as make him join the group as well. I'm assuming that's what would happen. Taking the knee doesn't necessarily mean he would join the group, but that's where I would probably take it. Make kind of bring Adam underneath Malachi's wing and kind of just continue to further the storyline of him going to the dark side and fighting these demons that he has, and maybe eventually he can break away from Malachi. I don't know if you can do all that, but either way, I love what they're doing with it. I think it tells a great story for sure. And of course, Kyle O'Reilly kind of coming out to try to help Adam Cole kind of furthers their friendship a little bit too, and maybe eventually we get Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Copeland finding a partner and going up against the House of Black as in a trios match. That could very well happen down the line as well. So very good storytelling, very good booking. I'm looking forward to this. We had a video package highlighting Eddie Kingston at the New Japan Resurgence show that happened last weekend, where he had a last man standing match against Gabe Kidd for his New Japan title that he still held. Now, Eddie Kingston's lost all 3 of his championships here over the course of the last few months, but after the match was over, of course, the Young Bucks and the Elite come down there and kind of, laid him out and things like that. So not only that, before the match was over, he apparently had a leg injury, and I guess due to that leg injury, now it's official that Eddie Kingston will not be a part of the Anarchy in the Arena match. This is a picture of him after apparently getting all casted up. So it doesn't look great for Eddie Kingston. I don't know exactly what the injury is per se, but yeah, it looks like he's going to be out for a pretty extended period of time here. So we wish Eddie Kingston well. Sounds like it's pretty serious though, so it may be a few months or maybe even longer before we see the Mad King return. But well wishes to him. But now that puts Team AEW in a tough spot here in storyline about who they're going to choose as a 4th partner. FTR and Bryan Danielson are 1 man down when it goes up against the Elite in the Anarchy in the Arena. So we get a little bit of an answer about that by the end of the show. So stick around and I'll let you know who it is. We had the Young Bucks against Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels. Okay match in my opinion. Obviously, it's just kind of highlighting the new Elite being total a-holes and douchebags, as we had Jack Perry on commentary as well. But yeah, it was a kind of a competitive fight. It was good to see Christopher Daniels have a good showing here, I thought, in my opinion. The outcome was obvious from a mile away, and that is sometimes the criticism for both companies, WWE and AEW, no doubt about it. But especially on television, sometimes you have to book certain people to win to build up to the matches you're selling at the pay-per-view. So I understand that, but I thought this was relatively okay. There's nothing wrong with it per se. The big story happened after the match, though, obviously, when the Bucks scored the win here over Christopher Daniels. They hit him with a TK driver for sure. But Nicholas and Matthew Jackson's grabbed a mic, and they said that they had some bad news for Christopher Daniels because he kind of verbally assaulted them and put their hands on him last week after Dynamite, I believe is when the footage was. They fired him on the spot from AEW and said that he would get severance for 30 days. They had security escort him out of the building. So the Young Bucks, again, kind of playing the EVP role, trying to be like, good EVPs, but at the same time, they're total jerks for sure. And of course, you had Jack Perry on commentary saying, "Oh, well, that's really nice of him for giving him 30 days severance. That's a really good deal." But yeah, I don't know if that means that Christopher Daniels is like maybe hanging it up, or if it's just all storyline, or how this is going here. But yeah, I mean, if that's the career for Christopher Daniels, amazing career it's been, especially in his TNA days over his time on Impact for sure. If you've not checked him out over there in TNA, I highly encourage you to go check out some of his work back then. But yeah, so but either that or we could very well be getting a gimmick change for Christopher Daniels. That very well may happen. Like maybe they fired him, but maybe he goes to a different gimmick. Wink, wink. We'll have to see if that happens or not. But we'll have to wait and see. But all around, I thought this did a good job of telling the story of the Elite being just total jerks. And of course, to put a finer point on that, Jack Perry poured an energy drink that he was drinking at ringside on top of Tony Schiavone, and Tony Schiavone just totally no sold it. Just like really, like like come on, man. Like, I feel bad for Tony Schiavone. He feels like the guy who just likes to they like to kick around a little bit, but at the same time, that's what Tony Schiavone's gimmick has kind of always been from back in his day in WCW too. So again, it's Tony Schiavone's, I'm sure, having a fun time doing it, no doubt about it. But I feel bad for that suit and tie and that jacket though, because that energy drink probably ruined all that. So, but at the same time, a good promotion for Ric Flair's Woo energy drink right there for sure, no doubt about it. But yeah, I mean. The stuff they're doing with the new Elite right now, I think, is really good, and I'm sure they'll get their comeuppance. But I wouldn't be surprised if they get the win in Anarchy in the Arena to kind of continue to further the storyline moving forward until Kenny Omega is able to come back after he went under the knife. Obviously, for his diverticulitis, it was confirmed that he is going to be out a little bit longer for sure. Him and MJF both, who've just recently had surgeries or are going to be having surgery in the coming days. So yeah, wish both those guys well. We hope they come back soon because AEW definitely needs both of them whenever they are ready to go. We had a backstage segment where Renee Paquette was interviewing Tony Storm about her upcoming match with Harley Cameron here on tonight's show. She said there would be no outside people allowed at ringside. Mariah May Luther and of course Saraya was not allowed there. And I guess Tony Storm responded that talking about Serena Deeb, their matchup at Double or Nothing in Las Vegas. She told Serena Deeb, "You'll end up like every other degenerate in Las Vegas, on your back with ass in your face, wondering where your dignity went." Great line. Tony Storm is absolutely outstanding. I love the gimmick. I love the character. I love how she also kind of truncated her normal tagline where she said chins, tits, shoe. So it's kind of again, I just love what they're doing with her. They're clearly high on her. They've done a great job with this Marilyn Monroe type sort of gimmick that they're doing with her. So it's highly entertaining. Although like I said before, I think it's possibly time for her to drop the championship and maybe get into the Mariah May storyline and maybe furthering that breakup that's going to happen at some point down the line here too. So I'd love to see Serena Deeb win the title, but I still think the Tony Storm gimmick has got a lot of mileage left on it. So I can't wait to see what they do with her moving forward. We had the return of Hook. He basically squashed a local talent named Sebastian Wolf in less than a minute, so that didn't take long. But he grabbed a mic and called out Chris Jericho, the Learning Tree, who came out with Big Bill by his side. Not only that, I've been noticing that Chris Jericho has been coming out from the babyface tunnel because they got heels and babyface tunnels in AEW. Of course, obviously, Chris Jericho is a total heel right now, but at the same time, he's also played it up as if he is a babyface. He's a good guy. He's waving to the crowd. He's acting like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, whether the crowd thinks so or not. So again, this shows the veteranship of Chris Jericho. He was getting booed and booed and booed like crazy, including tonight. He was getting chants of please retire and things like that, which again, he's earned the right to retire when he feels it's time to retire. But yeah, I mean, I just love what Chris Jericho's doing here. Not only that, he's called himself the Learning Tree. He called Big Bill the Redwood. So it's just I don't know. It's hitting for me. And of course, with Hook, which by the way, I think Hook looks like he's been working out a little bit. Looks like he's getting a little bit bigger. So I don't know if he's been eating a lot of chicken or what's going on, but he's definitely getting a little bit bigger in the chest and the arms a little bit there. So he's definitely working on his size. You can clearly tell, and it's paying off. But yeah, so Jericho said if Hook wins a qualification match on Collision, he could earn a shot at the FTW title. That's when Hook attacked him with the microphone. He hit Jericho right in the head with it, and of course, that apparently he must have caught Jericho pretty good with it because it caused Jericho to bleed from the back of the head. So it didn't look like a very hard shot when he delivered it, but at the same time, apparently he must have caught him pretty good. So yeah, he cut him open, and it was actually bleeding pretty good. He got it over Big Bill's hands and Jericho's hands for sure to show the crowd just exactly what happened there. So after that, Hook got attacked by Big Bill, who took him down. But Katsuyori Shibata came out to make the save and clear the ring. To kind of give the aid to Hook there. So could we be getting a tag team match between Shibata and Hook versus Big Bill and Jericho? That's probably going to happen at some point too. But we're definitely going to be getting Hook versus Jericho for the FTW Championship at some point that Jericho has been dubbing as the world title. So again, Jericho I think he's done a great job of evolving his characters over the years, and this is just another one of his new characters, and I think it's going to work out great once it gets over a little bit more. But whatever it is that the crowd does not like him for, I know there's some potential political reasons with his wife or whatever, but again, it's just kind of stupid. Jericho is a great talent. I think we need to respect him while he's here. As he even mentioned during his promo, you can please retire all you want, but he's going to go in just about every Hall of Fame that there is, and there's no lies there. He's speaking facts and truth about that. So we ought to appreciate him while we got him, guys, because he may not be around much longer because he is getting a little up there, and he's probably going to retire sooner rather than later. We got a non-title eliminator match between Swerve Strickland and former Mogul Embassy teammate Brian Cage. So yeah, this was again kind of furthering the storyline where the Mogul Embassy turned on Swerve Strickland last week. So Swerve has kind of been out for revenge. Swerve rushed out of the corner with a pair of knees to start the match, but Cage was quick to get back to his feet and keep the fight going. There was a spot in this match even where Swerve went for a suicide dive on the outside, and Brian Cage was already out there, and Brian Cage literally caught him in the suplex position and lifted him up and deadlifted him up straight up in the air. That was outstanding. The amount of power that's got to take. And not only that, let's give Swerve some flowers with this too. There was a spot in the match where Swerve also had to deadlift Brian Cage up from the suplex position as well. So again, both these guys are uber strong, and they're both showing it right here in this match. The bout felt like the first time Brian Cage has had a chance to really shine on his own in quite some time. So love that as well, because Brian Cage is a very underrated talent, very agile for a guy his size, but also really strong. he looked good against the champion while still selling enough to make the champ look good as well. This quickly turned into one of the best things we saw all night and had the crowd on its feet as Swerve hit his finisher for the win. It was a very slow build match, kind of built toward the finish. So again, very good professional wrestling here. If you're a fan of wrestling in itself, not only that, again, like I said, it's been telling the storyline that they've been telling over the last week or two or so, where Swerve has got turned on by his own family. So at the same time, I don't think they'll be calling Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony the Mogul Embassy anymore, because that was kind of Prince Nana's thing. So it sounds like that name may be gone by the wayside here. We'll have to wait and see. But no Nana tonight as well, still selling the effects of the attack from Christian Cage for sure. But yeah, definitely a fun match. Good to see Strickland again kind of hit that killer instinct and further his championship reign here. So Swerve Strickland was attacked by Nick Wayne and Killswitch after the match was over, as Christian Cage was standing on the rampway to cause a distraction. He ended up gushing blood from a wound on his head that Nick Wayne took a picture of Swerve and his family and cracked the picture frame and the glass over Swerve's head. He had like a cut above his eye. I hope it was above his eye. I hope it wasn't in his eye, because he was pouring blood out of this spot on where he was cut by the picture frame. So that looked pretty brutal. It was even pouring out of his head onto the mat here while Christian Cage was admonishing him. Christian went on to say that because Swerve Strickland embarrassed his son, Nick Wayne, that he is now going to have to embarrass him. And he took the photograph from the photo that had his looked to be his wife, kid, and him on there. And he rubbed it in Swerve's face and put blood all over the photograph. And then he told Swerve that I have taken your blood, and now in 2 weeks' time or whatever at the pay per view, I'm going to take your title. So yes, this is great. Again, calling back to the fact that Swerve Strickland, when he was a heel, going through the stuff with like Adam Hangman Page and everything, he attacked Nick Wayne not far down the road from where they were tonight in Washington. So yeah, I mean, this is good long term storytelling. If you can't get into this, I don't know what to tell you. This is very well done, and a lot of people are saying, "Well, Christian Cage and Swerve in the pay per view, oh, it's kind of dumb." Christian Cage is a very underrated talent. For those of you people who think Christian Cage does not deserve this title shot, you're absolutely insane. He's done some outstanding heel work in AEW. If you've actually spent any time at all watching the shows, you know that. And it's not to mention the time he was Christian Cage, like in TNA and things like that. Christian has been putting in some outstanding work. Some of his stuff in WWE, if that's all you've seen, you would maybe think that. But if you've actually checked him out in some other companies, you know that Christian Cage is a main event level talent. He's done some great stuff. So get off his back, for crying out loud. This stuff was swerving. It's going to be a blood feud. This is going to be a fun fight at Double or Nothing, no doubt about it. Probably going to main event the show for the world title here in AEW. So obviously, I expect Swerve Strickland to retain, no doubt about it. But this is a really good feud for a champion to go into. Again, sometimes it's hard to book baby faces in feuds for sure. But this is one of those instances they're doing a really great job of it. I wish they booked Cody Rhodes in certain feuds like this a little bit to kind of give him something to chew on a little more. But right now, they're just kind of feeding him opponent after opponent with no real storyline behind it. This has got a good storyline, so I'm glad to see it. Happy for the AEW World Title picture. We got an interview segment with Hook at the back. He was asked by Renee Paquette who would he be willing to go through, and I guess Hook even kind of said he'd be willing to go through anybody. And Shibata's like, does that include me? Because Shibata says he'd still like to have another shot at Jericho as well. So apparently we may be getting Hook versus Shibata possibly as soon as AEW Collision this week. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, this was actually a lot of fun. I love Shibata's gimmick, since he can't speak English hardly at all, if at all. Period. How he'll type stuff into his phone and have the phone speak for him. I think that's always funny. Of course, that brought out Samoa Joe, who came up to Hook and says, "I thought you were different. I thought you were a more of a killer than this, but here you are. Like, what are you doing?" And Hook's like, "I'll even fight you." It feels like Hook's got this big chip on his shoulder because he's a smaller guy. He's new to the business here at AEW. He's been around a little bit, but he's still kind of new overall. And he just feels like he'll fight anybody, no matter what the deal is, without actually thinking about it. He'll run into a fight without actually, contemplating the consequences of it. And I think that's kind of what Joe's trying to say as a veteran to him here. So I'm interested to see what they go with Hook here. Yeah, if we get Hook and Joe again, obviously, that was fun the first time around for sure. I'm just interested to see where this is going to go. And of course, after this was over and Joe walked away, Shibata's phone, he pulled it out again, and he's like, so Samoa Joe's too big of a guy to be wearing a floral pattern on his shirt. So again, great line. I thought it was hilarious. So got a big laugh out of that. So yeah, looking forward to Shibata and Hook. That could be a lot of fun. The aforementioned Timeless Tony Storm versus Harley Cameron from the Outcasts here. Yeah, I mean, this was actually pretty fun. I thought they worked really hard to make it a fun encounter. Harley Cameron probably looked better here than she has in any of her previous fights for sure. But it still ended with timeless Tony Storm securing the win here over Harley Cameron. As Serena Deeb watched from the stage, though, she was holding a Deeb Dojo flag as well, just kind of watching, not really doing much, just kind of watching her opponent at Double or Nothing. It was enough to distract timeless Tony Storm a few times, but Tony Storm obviously got the upper hand once again toward the end of the match and got the win. So again, just kind of subtleties here. Not the greatest storytelling this week between these two ladies, but they've had some better storytelling in the past. I thought this week it was good to see more storytelling from Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné. That needed it far more than this feud did. So in that regard, this is still going to be a great match, all things considered. But yeah, definitely looking forward to both of these women's matches going forward. We got a backstage interview segment between Will Ospreay and Roderick Strong, who had the Undisputed Kingdom backing him up. This was some great promo work by Will Ospreay here, and Roderick Strong as well, no doubt about it. But Will Ospreay was cutting a very impassioned speech here, no doubt about it. You know, talking about how he doesn't have any respect for Roderick Strong because Roderick Strong hasn't respected him. Not only that, Roderick Strong has got his cronies backing him up here, so that's why he can't touch Roderick Strong right now. Because obviously, if he did, he'd get jumped by his three goons. That's not to say that Will Ospreay was a coward or anything here. No doubt about it. This was billed as a no confrontation. Yeah, there was just a good way to kind of further their personal feud. There was no physicality whatsoever, but these two got in each other's faces, and I thought it did a whole lot to build up some tension for the match that has been announced for the pay per view for a little while now, which is something I thought the match sorely did need. So in that regard, AEW in general did a really good job tonight building out their storylines for the matches that needed to get the little extra to kind of make some relevance to those feuds. So I was very happy to see that now, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I read somewhere that AEW did hire a writer recently, so Tony Khan doesn't have everything on his plate by himself, and maybe he's already had writers before. I'm not totally sure exactly what the creative process over at AEW is. I just know that Tony Khan has the final say, and normally he's the one booking the matches, which I think as a booker, he does a great job with the matches. Just sometimes he could use a little help when it comes to the storytelling around those matches. So hiring some writers, getting some good people on the creative team would definitely benefit AEW a lot. And at least for tonight and this week, I felt like the storytelling was vastly improved. And I'm looking forward to seeing much more of that moving forward. If AEW could get their storytelling on point, along with the wrestling that they've already got, that's absolutely stellar. Almost every match every week is usually pretty good. If they could get the storytelling online on tap with the wrestling, they're going to have an outstanding pro wrestling show week in and week out that will rival the biggest company in the world, WWE, no doubt about it, because they're definitely lacking in the pro wrestling department. Their storytelling is okay, but even WWE has problems outside of the main feuds like the bloodline. Some of that stuff is still lacking a bit, so they can improve on their storytelling as well. It's not like WWE has the greatest storytelling top to bottom. They don't either. So both companies have places to improve, but I think AEW is at least working on their storytelling as WWE look to be working on their wrestling this week. So let's give both companies some time, but hopefully they'll kind of get things corrected and find a nice balance between both individual companies themselves. We had the contract signing for the AEW TBS Championship between Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné. Obviously, anytime you get these contract signings, normally outside of Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles before Backlash, they normally don't go well. They usually end up in some sort of physicality. And this was no different here. Obviously, Mercedes Moné is coming off very obnoxious here. Over the last few weeks, a lot of people have been saying, well, she probably needs to be the heel. Well, if there's ever any doubt that she's a heel, she's definitely a heel now. She was definitely playing this up like, I'm better than you. I'm the CEO. I'm doing CEO things by going to interviews and basketball games and throwing out the first pitches at baseball games and things like that. And while Willow's just kind of, just doing her thing and smiling, so Willow was doing a great job of being a babyface here, talking about how her smile is her strength and things like that. She was obviously taking offense to what Mercedes was saying here, no doubt about it. And Mercedes was doing a great job. She's got this too big for her britches mentality. Like, I was over, and she didn't mention WWE or anything, but in 2015, I was creating an evolution or a revolution of the women's division, and I was selling out arenas, and I'm the reason why you're even here, Willow. So she's got this, chip on her shoulder, like, I'm, greater than thou type of thing. And it's really playing into her heel character. I actually like that aspect of it. Again, this feud needed something to kind of give these two ladies to sink their teeth into, because they've not really done a whole lot. Mercedes Moné went on to insult Willow even further and talked about how, she's going to be walking out as the TBS champion. Of course, Willow then had to spout back a little bit and said, the last time we wrestled, I walked out as champion and you didn't walk out at all, referencing the fact that Mercedes Moné got hurt in that match. So we now know for a fact that Mercedes Moné is at least healthy enough to probably go through this match because she was definitely healthy enough to take this bump through the table after the comment that Willow made about not walking out at all. Mercedes Moné slapped Willow across the face and then tried to attack her and hit her with the TBS Championship. Willow dodged that and then picked her up and drove her through the table with a power bomb. So yeah, good to see a little physicality, especially from Mercedes Moné. Mercedes Moné has not wrestled her official first match at AEW just yet, which has got a lot of people upset about that as well. I understand, but at the same time, her past record kind of speaks for itself. On top of the fact that the TBS Championship has always been kind of like the TNT title. The TV titles, based on the network names, have always been open challenge titles. So in this regard, it doesn't bother me a whole lot that Mercedes not had a match yet. I understand the criticism of it. I'm not totally, disregarding those criticisms. Absolutely. But we've seen other companies do this as well. I mean, we've seen WWE give title shots to people who absolutely don't deserve it in recent weeks, and nobody seems to complain about that. So if you're not going to complain about that, there's no big deal here. But yeah, I just thought it was a good thing to see these two women get physical with each other and actually kind of again build some story stuff around the title match for sure. And I think it did a great job for that. And now I'm much more excited to see these two women wrestle at Double or Nothing. The main event saw Kazuchika Okada versus Dax Harwood. They started off with a simple lockup with some dueling takedowns and counters. They kept it basic for the first few minutes as they sized each other up, but business picked up once Okada threw Harwood into the ring post on the outside. Okada was in firm control as the show ran over its usual end time. They had a little bit of an overrun here for sure, about 10, 15 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. But Dax Harwood began showing signs of life with a couple German suplexes. This is a really good, hard-hitting match to end the show. Probably the best show of the night, in my personal opinion. But you can see their lack of experience working together in a few spots. Obviously, different styles with Okada coming over from New Japan. He's not quite used to the American style just yet. And it kind of shows a little bit because part of me is not fully impressed with Okada in AEW just yet because I've seen matches with Okada and Kenny Omega and what he's done over in New Japan. In New Japan, he was outstanding. Now, he's probably a little older now and things like that. He's probably not as healthy as he once was as well when it comes to his injuries he's taken over the years or whatnot. But part of it, I think, is literally just him trying to get used to the American style. And once he gets used to that style, I think he'll be able to do a much better job here in AEW. We just got to give him a little time to get acclimated. So I preach patience on this one for sure. But yeah, there were moments where they kind of didn't gel very well, and they kind of stood out a little bit. But any complaints anyone could have with this performance are rather minimal for the most part. The Rainmaker won by using a low blow behind the referee's back, followed by that signature clothesline for sure. And the Elite came out to attack Harwood after the match, and that brought out Danielson and Cash Wheeler to try to help him and take him down to kind of even the odds. But again, with Harwood down, it was still kind of 4-on-2 as Jack Perry also came out to help the Elite as with the Young Bucks. They also come down as well. So yeah, that's what brought out the big surprise of the night. And that was, of course, the fourth member that is going to be added to Anarchy in the arena. And that is, of course, Darby Allin, which another Washington hometown guy. But at the same time, if you'd asked me who could possibly fill in for Eddie Kingston, I would not have picked Darby Allin because that poor guy has been through so much this year. I mean, goodness gracious, just look at this. I mean, Darby Allin has jumped off a really huge ladder through plate glass onto steel chairs. The dude broke his foot. He's also, got hit by a bus in New York City while his foot was broken, and it broke his nose. And he still had some bandages wrapped up around his nose when he come out here wearing this very bright pink fur coat from the looks of things. It was interesting, but at the same time, great to see Darby Allin back, no doubt about it. But he even had to cancel his plans to climb Mount Everest this year, which he was going to do. But yeah, the fact that he's able to come back, and even Darby has actually, I believe, after the show stated he's not 100% yet, but he's still going to wrestle in Anarchy in the arena. So if there was ever an AEW pillar or a homegrown guy, it makes 100% sense to put him in this Anarchy in the arena match for sure. I just hope he's okay because this dude is a psychopath. There is no reason he should be healthy enough to be able to compete in this type of match. I mean, it's one of those matches too where as long as he's careful, I think he'll be okay. But Darby Allin's not going to do that. He's going to throw caution to the wind. He's going to absolutely destroy his body for some crazy, insane spot during the match. And it's like, I really worry about this guy's future, just in life in general. But then again, I used to say the same thing about Jeff Hardy, and yeah, he's had his issues as well. But as far as I can tell, he's still able to move around and walk. He's probably in a lot of pain a lot of times, which is probably why he has some of the issues that he has. But I worry about Darby because you see a guy like Mick Foley who did a lot of these crazy spots as well, and he can barely walk anymore. But again, Darby Allin's a skateboarder. He kind of knows what goes with the territory here. I just want him to take care of himself. I want him to be healthy, but I'm glad to see him back. Glad to see him in the match. I just hope his foot's healed. I hope his nose is okay. But the foot's probably not 100% healed because that injury usually takes a little bit time to heal. I would think the nose he might be able to wrestle on and be okay with, but at the same time it obstructs breathing and things like that. So yeah, great to see him here. I just hope he's going to be all right. But yeah, I think it'll make for a good addition to the match and the story that they're telling. Because again, what better guy can you get to have in the Anarchy in the Arena match for Team AEW than a guy who's been there since the very beginning? So yeah, good to see that. I can't wait to see him. And of course, him and Jack Perry's got history and things like that. The Young Bucks. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, and hopefully it'll be a fun match to watch at the pay per view. But anyway, that's my AEW recap for this week. The storytelling in AEW seems to be picking up for the better. Let's hope they can continue down that road and continue to get better and better and better as we go along here and as we're leading into the next pay per view on Memorial Day weekend. But what did you guys think about AEW this week? Were you excited about Collision? Did you like the wrestling on that show? That's more wrestling oriented, but Dynamite had a lot more storytelling. What did you think of Rampage? Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And until my next week's AEW recap, everybody, take care and God bless.